Right, let me cut across to our top story here on Hajinder Singh, a truck driver in the United States who landed up taking a wrong U-turn, killing 3 people. Eventually, now he's been arrested. But it seems like the Sikh community in the United States are rallying behind Hajinder Singh. 2.6 million and counting. That's how many have signed a petition for the 28-year-old Hajinder Singh from Punjab, a truck driver in the United States who is charged with 3 counts of vehicular homicide in Florida after attempting an illegal U-turn through a restricted access point. That's the CCTV footage there. His truck, while taking that U-turn, blocked all lanes. It was a wrong U-turn. A speeding minivan came straight at him, rammed into that truck, killing 3 people on the spot. Making matters worse for him, investigators found that Hajinder Singh had entered the United States illegally 6 years ago, and he did not pass the English proficiency test either. So when they tried to show him some signages on whether he could recognize the signboards, he couldn't recognize a few of them. And that now has led to his case, or a case against him, becoming stronger. The petition now that favors him and supports Hajinder Singh here, saying he's not a murderer, demands a fair trial for Hajinder and not punishment as harsh as 45 to 90 years in prison for what his supporters insist was just a mistake. Basically, it seems like homicide allegations have been leveled against him, and the punishment here could lead up to him being in prison for nearly 45 to 90 years. And this precisely, the Sikh community there say is disproportionate for the crime that was committed. The case has now spiraled into politics. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced an immediate pause on worker visas for all foreign truck drivers. Remember, most of the foreign truck drivers comprise of people from Punjab. The Sikh community really form the largest group of truck drivers in the United States. Marco Rubio says, well, we're stopping these visas because not just are they endangering American lives, but are also undercutting local jobs, that American jobs must be priority. Well, back home, the Sikh community is deeply upset. The homicide charges have been leveled against Harjinder. But apart from that, what's really upset them is that Harjinder was paraded without his turban, which is an article of faith, very important for a Sikh person. If I could show you some courtroom images there of Hajinder Singh without his turban. He wasn't allowed to wear one. And this, the Sikh community says, was absolutely humiliating and disrespectful. In fact, Shiromani Akali Dal MP Harsimrat Badal has appealed that Hajinder be punished for an accident, yes, but being branded as a murderer is unfair, and all the more not being allowed to wear a turban. It's absolutely humiliating for a community that's contributed immensely in the United States. She's urged the Indian government to step in, warning that over 1.5 lakh Punjabi truck drivers in the United States must not be targeted or lose their livelihood because of one man's mistake. In fact, I'm joined here tonight by Harsimrat Kaur herself, Patinda MP. She speaks to us a little more about what her appeal is to the government of India. Thank you very much, Harsimrat Badal, for speaking to News 9. And we know that you've shot off a letter to External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. But I'd like to ask you, Hajinder Singh has received support through a petition which has nearly 2.5 million signatures. And the Western media at this point almost mocking at it, saying the man has made a mistake. 3 people have died, but yet it seems like the Indian community, Sikh community largely, are rallying behind him. Why do you think he's getting this support?
So yes, while I agree that he may have entered illegally like a lot of other people do, but he had a valid driving license, and which gave him the authority to drive, and he had a work permit as well. Now, while I totally agree that he made a mistake by doing that U-turn, it was absolutely wrong what he did, but the accident is something which a person does not do intentionally, neither the driver, and I mean, nobody does an accident intentionally. It was a mistake. Everybody feels really bad about what happened to those 3 people who lost their lives. There's no doubt about that. We feel as much. But for a mistake of an accident to be portrayed as if it was a murder, and the way the whole thing is being blown up as if it's a hate crime or something like that, trying to fan sentiments against a young Sikh boy who's done an accident. No, I can show you dozens of videos where just yesterday someone sent me where a school van full of school children with a white driver is doing exactly the same thing. But there's no hue and cry about that. So yes, it was wrong, but it was an accident. To make it into an homicide, which can end up into 90 years of prison, of 45 years of prison for a 27-year-old youngster whose whole family is dependent on him for their livelihood, seems a bit harsh. And the way that the government of America seems to be, trying to fan this anti-brown, anti-Sikh sentiment by showing the political leaders coming for his arrest with all the TV cameras. And as a Sikh personally, besides what he did, what really hurt me, and I'm sure hurt a lot in my community, for a turban Sikh, his turban is not just his pride, it's something that's been given to us by our gurus. It's a part of our body.
Correct.
The way he
Yeah.
is being paraded around with his head without the head covering really hurt our sentiment, because this is a community which in every gurdwara, morning and night, there's an ardas for universal, for the entire universe, for the entire humanity. We pray. We don't pray for the Sikhs or for the Punjab. Sarbatta Pala means for the well-being of the entire humanity and the entire universe. There we have langars which their community kitchens wherever, if there's wherever there's a gurdwara, whenever there's some kind of a mishap anywhere or anything which happens, is this community gets together and opens up this free kitchen where you don't look at the race or anything. So for a
Oh,
community
no, absolutely. There's been a lot
which
of contribution
contributes
from the
so
Sikh
much.
community.
Yeah,
True.
a young boy has happened to make a mistake. Yes, he did an accident, and for that accident, he whatever the law says. So, but the way the government is trying to fan it into a racial kind of a thing, as it is, the Sikhs after 9/11 have borne a lot of these racial, they have borne the
Yeah.
brunt of a lot of racial attacks because of their turban. They are
Yeah.
connected to another
We,
community.
we
From what I feel and sense here, it appears that the harsh punishment of homicide could be the reason could be that he entered United States illegally through Mexico. He's been living illegally, obtained his license, producing those illegal documents. Do you think that's acting against him?
There's some law over there that if it's a homicide, then you get per person that you have killed up to 30 years. Now, these are all things which I'm hearing and reading. I don't know the law there. If it's from an accident, you get 15 years per person that you have killed. But if it's considered a homicide or murder that you have done, then it's 30 years per person. So we're looking at anything from 45 years to 90 years. Now that's really sad. And there was a case earlier of a Mexican who had also killed 4 people, and he got 110 years of imprisonment. And there was a petition that everybody wrote, and the government and the courts from 110 years made it into, I think, 10 years or 1 year or something like that. So, which is why our community has also got together, and over 2 million people have signed this petition. And I've reached out to the Honorable Minister for our embassy to reach out to this young boy who's not proficient in the language and who's probably in a state of shock, who's had an accident and not committed a murder knowingly, to give him all the help possible.
But this petition, Ms. Harsimrat, has also received criticism, saying that this man had false credentials right from the start. He may have got his license, the trucking license, to drive the commercial truck, but that also happened because he provided false credentials. So, a lie from the start.
If he got the permit to drive, it was obviously given by a government agency. He's got a work permit. That needs to be checked out. But yes, the party at fault is the one whoever checked those credentials. And also, I would like to add here that there is also talk about the entire trucking community.
Well, we know exactly precisely what I said. What I was about to ask you here is that the trucking community now has to bear the brunt, because most of the truck drivers in the United States are basically from the Punjabi Sikh community. They form the largest community of truck drivers in the United States. You know, at a time like this freeze by the US government to pause all foreign truck driver visas. How do you think how is that going to affect the community particularly? And also America now, speaking of America first, bouncing off this case, saying even truck drivers must be American. You're anyway too many in the country now.
No, so that's again, I call this again targeting. It's absolutely they're targeting on the basis of your color, and there are plenty of youngsters who have gone there legally, who are been living there legally, who are probably second and third generation, whose entire livelihood, who've taken loans, set up huge businesses. They form a huge majority of the trucking business. And they're supporting families, young kids and old parents back home here and even over there who've been living that everybody's livelihood is going to come to a standstill because of the one accident caused by a youngster. You target another whole load of millions of people is absolutely unfair and uncalled for. I think that's really taking it to extremes.
You know, but at the same time, now that you have 2 million odd signatures on a petition supporting him, that's being tarnished. People claiming that this is nothing but Khalistanis coming together and enforcing and pushing for a man who came in illegally, committed a crime. The Khalistani elements are trying to basically support him, basically discrediting this movement to ensure this man gets a fair trial.
The sad part is that this is how youngsters get pushed into doing wrong things. Whenever there's a Sikh who's doing something, whether, you know, if he's sitting on a dharna at the borders of Delhi asking for his rights as a farmer, or he's someone who does an accident unintentionally by mistake, like millions of other people do, the first thing, just because he's a Sikh, he's a Khalistani. I mean, when is the last time that the people of Punjab even demanded Khalistan? We put an end by clearly stating that we are the biggest nationalists. We gave up we sacrificed the maximum for the freedom of this country. If you look at Kala Pani, if you look at hanging, if you look at Jallianwala Bagh, for this freedom movement, Sikhs sacrificed the maximum. And there's nobody more patriotic than them. Even today, if you look at the ones guarding the border or the food security of our nation, it is the Sikhs who are in the forefront. But yet, every time we ask for something which is our right, even for Harjinder Singh, if we are saying that, okay, extend a hand of helping hand to him and give him whatever is, you know, if he's committed an accident, yes, but be liberal. You be liberal with earlier. There are cases which we are citing. You get branded as a Khalistan. Now, this is really sad that a handful of people who are sponsored by Pakistan sitting on foreign soils who run this agenda because they make a lot of money out of it. And every innocent Sikh who asks for his right or comes up, raises his voice for something which is unfair, gets branded with them. This is how you push the community away. And it's really unfair because wherever Sikhs have gone, they have always contributed. And I would, through you, appeal to Sikhs in all the other countries who are sitting in governments now, in powerful positions now, that please get your governments also to raise their voice, because to brand this youngster who's had an accident by mistake as a Khalistani and fan racial hatred towards the Sikh is again extremely unfortunate if any government does it, and every Sikh should raise their voice against it.
So from a sense I get, and what you said rightly, is that you're not supporting the crime here. You condemn it. It was a mistake. An accident has happened. Well, yes, he, as per investigation, claims are that he came into the United States illegally. But does this really entail his case to be given the harshest of punishment of homicide? And now this has taken a political turn because we're looking at the Republicans making this an exhibitionist arrest, trying to make an example of Harjinder Singh. First of all, Florida is governed by the Republicans, and we hear that Harjinder has his license and resides in California, which is governed by the Democrats. So there itself, we're looking at a political tiff, and he seems like right now caught in that political crossfire.
Which has never been done before, which is why I'm saying that this is yet again, I call it a racial crime and a racial attack, which is being attempted, unfortunately, by ruling parties. which is what can be more unfortunate than that. You know, one side we've already got this trade tariff war going on, which I don't want to comment on, but we all know what's going on. And the
Yeah.
other side now, they just a young innocent boy who had an accident is being made the face of yet another
Yeah.
some kind of
Do you
racial lesson.
believe?
Well, now you've written to External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. What do you expect from the government of India? Have you heard back from him?
No, he hasn't responded, unfortunately. And I do expect the government to act because the government talks about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vishwas. Sikhs are make up part of this nation, and we are in a year where we are celebrating 350 350th birth anniversary of our ninth Guru, who laid down his life at a time. There's no other example in the entire world where a guru lays down his life for the religious freedom of another community. I mean, plenty have done it for their own. But Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib laid down his life for the Kashmiri Pandits who were being forced by the Mughals at that time to change their religion. And if there is the foundation of human rights was laid, the foundation of religious freedom was laid, I think our ninth Guru played the biggest role in that. He didn't have to do it. No one forced him to do it. He came all the way to Delhi and said that first convert me, then you try converting these people, and he was beheaded. I mean, we are celebrating the 350th year of that, and if the government, which today is in majority, owes it to the Sikh Guru that, you know, they flourished and today they are ruling the nation, I think the least they can do is raise their voice for that community which feeds the nation even today, which put in the maximum sacrifices to free our nation from the British, and who
Right.
historically have saved your religion whenever the time has demanded it. The least you can do is raise your voice and give us a fair trial and a fair hearing, whether here or abroad.
All right. Of course, we know that Harjinder's family is begging for mercy. They've also appealed to the United States government. Are you in touch with them?
Oh, yes, our party is fully in touch with them. We're extending every kind of help that we can. Unfortunately, because it's in foreign soil, we cannot bypass the government. But all our Sikh community over there has come together. While we are helping the families here, our party and our community is helping them in every way they can. But we definitely need the government and the high commissions and the embassies to step in to ensure that he gets a fair chance and is not prosecuted on the basis of his turban and his color to become, a face for a
Yeah.
political battle because of an accident he committed by mistake and did not commit a murder. My full sympathy is to the three who have lost their lives and the families who have lost. If there's anything we can do, our community will come together for them as well. But
Yeah.
please do not persecute a young boy who made a mistake, which is made by
Right.
millions of white people every day as well, I'm sure.
We hear you. He's Indian. He's made a mistake, committed a crime. If he's gone to the United States illegally, it's wrong. But does that entitle him to homicide, harshest punishment of 45 to 90 years in prison? When this is not the precedent in the United States, then why this? Is this a hate crime or what? Well, a petition now is being floated. Nearly 2.5 million supporters signed on that petition asking for mercy for Harjinder. I thank you very much, Harsimrat Kaur Badal, for joining us here on that.